You're listening to First Fossil. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first fossil. Hello and welcome to First Fossil, a show where we learn together how to take that first fossil toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olushala, and I have been trying to think of a way to explain this transition that I'm in. I think I've been thinking about it a lot because, well, a lot of people keep asking, why aren't you working in the pharmacy? People have asked me, are you throwing away your degree? You took out all those loans for no reason. Why are you deciding this now? A lot of skepticism behind this career switch. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a career switch versus repurposing my life story, my expertise, the things that I've experienced in the 31 years of my life. So I figured this would actually be a really great episode. So earlier today, I got a phone call from an old friend who was just checking in with me, and she wanted to know what I was up to. So I was kind of giving her an update, what was going on, how are things going. And I explained to her that I had made this transition. She said something that surprised me. And I'm not saying that she necessarily doubts my ability to make this transition, but what she said had me thinking again in reality. She basically gave me a thought that in case I enter a season where this isn't really working out, I can always do something in pharmacy again. Now, not that that's not true. I have my pharmacy degree. I'm a licensed pharmacist. I can always utilize this degree in the case that I don't have the finances to embark on this journey full time in those interim spaces. And that's not to say that I'm not doing things in my come up as a full time entrepreneur. Of course, I'm doing things to fill in the financial gap. Who wouldn't? But I think it had me thinking enough that I decided to explain this concept to her. And that's what today's episode is about. Today's episode is about living out status quo versus stepping into the unknown. A lot of us are raised to live life on this kind of one track trajectory, whether that be something that our parents just dreamt that their kids would do and they kind of guide or push their children towards a specific track, or you hear certain things that lead you to believe that it's better to go this one track route because that's what everyone else does. I thought that too. I did. I was raised in a household with two immigrant parents. And because they worked so hard to make it as foreign Blacks in America in the 80s, something inside of me and my brothers wanted to honor that. My father, who's Nigerian, he really wanted us to all be medical doctors. It's either medical doctor, engineer, lawyer. And if you've heard my brother's testimony, my brother being Kevin Alushla from Pentatonics. You've heard him tell this before. Culturally, there was an expectation, especially when your parent sacrificed so much to try to make a living for their family. It was something that my classmates couldn't fully understand, me having been the only Black kid in most of my classes from age 4. I didn't know how to explain that to people, but I knew it was something that was really important, and so I worked towards becoming a medical doctor. I even went for that pre-med degree, and I remember the moment where I thought, "I couldn't do this." It was in high school, actually, and I was at a boarding arts academy called Walnut Hill School for the Arts in Natick, Massachusetts. I was so drawn to the arts, so drawn to theater, to musical performance, to singing, to dancing, to creative writing, which my school offered all of those things. And I was a French horn performance major. I felt more drawn to the arts than I did my sciences, even though I liked chemistry and I loved math. I mean, I took calculus 3 times on purpose, even though I always got an A in it. So that should show you how much I really like math. But I didn't necessarily feel fulfilled in the sciences and the math as much as I did in being an artist. Well, out of fear that to really pursue the arts, it would be dishonoring the hard work that both of my parents had put in to living a life in America, I decided to go the pre med route instead. It was a battle inside of me, realizing that the further into school I got, the less excited I was becoming to actually pursue medicine. I didn't know how to break that to my family. I had no idea. I kind of kept that to myself. Shared with a few friends, tried to explain the challenges of having a burning desire and not really believing you could live that out of fear that it would spit on the sacrifices of your immigrant parents. So I tried. I tried and eventually had my breaking point. So after a few years, I got to the end of my degree and actually fell in love with the career of pharmacy. I felt led there and felt like it was very much my personality. And I was surprised to find something in the sciences and in healthcare that actually spoke to my heart. And I went through pharmacy school. It was hard, it was challenging, but I loved every bit of it. And I hope one day I can really tell the details of this full story. But I was faced with a lot of hurdles that most of my classmates to this day have absolutely no idea what I was going through at the same time as trying to understand the materials and pass all of my exams, hopefully land a residency and become an amazing pharmacist. I didn't land a residency, but I ended up pursuing public health and I ended up getting my master's in public health after pharmacy school, which I absolutely loved. And I actually just graduated this June. Yet, as I started working as a full time pharmacist, the passion that I had at the beginning started to die out. And it was like I became that high schooler again. I don't think this is it. I don't think this track of getting the degree and getting the job until you retire and then live your life. I don't think this is what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if you've been in this situation, but it's really scary to think that what you've been doing might not be what you should be doing. And you're left to battle with the idea of turning a direction you've never thought to turn in real life. that you've kind of just dreamt about and were afraid of what that might be, or just keep doing what you're expected to do per what society and sometimes family might expect of you to do. I had a conversation recently with a pharmacy student, and this student expressed that they're in this space where they're reaching the end of their schooling, and that spark for this career hasn't really ignited. They were petrified to admit this to themselves, and I sat with that student and I empathized so hard. Is that guilt? Like I said, you've either taken out student loans or you've wanted to make your parents proud for so long, or people are watching you, or you have this sense that there's nothing else to do. I can't waste this degree. I have to do something with it according to what I'm told is an option for me. And so to see this student a little scared, a little nervous, and a bit disheartened, I shared with them exactly what I'm sharing with you, that I remember being in that space. And it wasn't until this year that I faced that fork in the road. Because at first I thought there was only one road. And I'm sure you've maybe been there in some way, shape, or form, whether it is your career, a relationship, whatever, where you feel like this is the only option. I need to just go this route. I don't really have a choice. Maybe it's the pressures that are making you feel that way, whether they're internal or external, that you believe this is it. This is it. I can't do anything else, especially if you have a family. The burden of doing something different when you have mouths to feed and bills to pay, a spouse that is relying on you, kids that are looking to you. And if you're an immigrant, maybe family overseas that are also relying on you, it's a lot of burden to carry. And it's not to be diminished at all. The reality that hit me when I met that fork in the road, that I actually had a choice. It was a moment of stepping into the paradox of fear, faith, desire, and enticement. So here I am standing at this fork. I can turn one way and say, this is what I signed up for. I'm a pharmacist with a public health background. I can continue in my job, calling patients, helping them understand their medications, making sure that they're taking them appropriately and staying adherent to their medication regimens. And I can look for other pharmacy careers and keep going down this path of being a holistic pharmacist. But then there was this other path that I finally took a good hard look at. And I said, I can't see that far down that path. There's a huge fog, and yet there's sunlight all around it. I'm kind of curious about what's over there. I want to know. And see, now the artist in me, the artist that's always been in me since I was a little girl, and that was really spoken to in high school, she came out again and saw the question mark, the fog, as an opportunity to create. The status quo path seemed suffocating, like a trap, like the rat race that you hear people talk about. And I was miserable. I hated waking up every day. I would cry or be angry or frustrated every single day at work. And I questioned whether or not this was worth it. Were the years of education, is the pay, is the treatment from leadership worth this? That other path. The pay is not a salary. The opportunities could really be anything, but I could design, I could explore something I've been burning to do, but didn't believe I was allowed to or could do it. Have you been in that space before where you have this burning inside, this longing? Okay. And I'm not talking about now, okay. Let me just side note, if you're burning, and it's physical, you should probably go to the doctor. I'm just plugging that. That's the healthcare in me. I'm gonna need you to go get checked because that's a problem. So let's come back. Let's come back to the spiritual burning. Okay, that's a different burning. It's way safer. Um, so if you have this burning inside, ooh, sorry. Side note: if you have a burning in your chest, that might be heartburn. Tums is great for that. You might need a Nexium. Please talk to your local pharmacist if you have any questions and to make sure you talk to your doctor as well, just in case you haven't figured out the difference between heartburn and heart attack, because that's also a problem. Okay. Coming back to the spiritual burn. Okay. So the spiritual burn, okay, that burning, even when we don't know what to call it, we're not really sure what it is. I think everyone has it in there somewhere. Some people have buried it under the status quo and the pressures that be. And I get it. I totally get it. Some people are still looking for their purpose. Some people are still looking to find a reason to wake up every day. Some people believe that they have to know exactly what the plan is in order to be in purpose. In order to be living a fulfilled life, you gotta know what's going on. And I think that comes from this sense of fear that if we don't have the blueprint, we're bound to fail. But even when we have the blueprint, sometimes things just don't turn out according to plan. Sometimes we're still left with disappointments. The blueprint doesn't determine whether or not we live a quote unquote successful life. And what is success? My friend Cliff Ravenscraft, who did I think episodes 35, 36 of my podcast, he talked about how there is no success. All there is are decisions and outcomes. And the success, quote unquote, is technically what you learn from that. We learn from the things that we try, the things that we do, the choices that we make. As long as we're learning, then success is relative. It doesn't really exist. It's not real. We're just here learning, growing, and trying to be the best us we can be for ourselves and for our loved ones and the world around us. At least that's what I would hope for people. I would hope that we want to live beyond ourselves. And in fact, purpose, if it's not other centered, it's not purpose. Purpose isn't for us, it's for everyone else. It's not that you don't benefit from it. And it's not that you can't have a part of that, but you can't plant your purpose on you. It has to be for others. And so the fork in the road, I stood there and kind of let God guide me in this one. I prayed a lot. I leaned into the opportunities that were coming my way with hosting conferences, being keynote speaker, being on radio, on national television. It was fulfilling, so fulfilling that all of these opportunities were coming my way to the point where I maxed out my PTO completely and had unpaid time off because I realized where my fulfillment was. It wasn't to sit behind the counter, stand behind the counter, sit in my little office, call patients all day. As much as I loved my patients, especially mis pacientes de Mexico, de Puerto Rico, todos de ellos, I miss all of them. But that's not what fulfilled me. What fulfilled me was what was always burning inside of me, a desire to be creative, a desire to be creative in a way that benefited the world, made an impact. And that's where my decision lied between circumstances at work and this flood of opportunities, doors that were opening, windows that were opening that I didn't even know existed. That's what helped me make that decision. So I left the status quo and stepped into the unknown. And so here I am living in the unknown. And it's the first time in a long time that I'm waking up every day, absolutely loving my life without reservation. And I have to say, I don't think I would have been able to make this decision had I not gone through my experience to walk in wholeness and freedom last year. And that's why I've created this entire platform surrounding wholeness and freedom. The veils that came off my eyes and off my spirit, off my heart, off my thoughts allowed me to realize that one, I don't have to carry the burden of thinking that if I don't take one path, everything that my parents did will be completely ignored and disrespected. But that the reality was that everything that God created me to be, everything that I truly thought I wanted to be, could actually align with that purpose that was placed in me from God. And I could actually live it out. And in living that out and living out the purpose that I felt called to live, automatically I'm honoring my parents and God. Now, I know not everyone believes in God that listens to my podcast, and I get it. But it was knowing for me that what I always believed wasn't actually reality. And that's what I wanted to tell you today. I wanted to share with you that those fears that you have, they don't necessarily have to be reality. That you actually have the choice to look beyond the fears, to seek out the answers to those question marks, lean into them, see what's out there, get creative. Now, it's not to say that creativity can't happen in a world of science or law or anything that you learn in education, in formal education, I should clarify. It's not that you can't get creative, but you also don't have to get stuck. You are more than your career. And a lot of us need to hear that. So I want you to repeat after me. I'm not my career. I'm not my degrees. I'm not any amount of formal education that I have. I'm not my parents' expectations. I'm not what society tells me I have to be. I'm me. I'm creative. I have purpose and I have the choice to live the freedom in that purpose. And I will always seek to live in purpose. Nothing will hold me back. I hope that those of you that repeated that desire to step into that for real. There are options out there. Don't believe the lies. You have every right to choose something else. Live free, live in creativity. Everyone is a creative. That I know is true. How that creativity comes out, that's the best part. You just got to explore to find out. So let me know, have you struggled with living status quo? Do you have this burning desire in your spirit to maybe do something else, even if you're not quite sure what that is? Are you satisfied right where you are? Are you already living out the life of the question mark in the unknown? Let me know. Send me messages, email me, hit me up on socials. I want to hear your stories and I'm cheering you on. I'm rooting for you. I really, really hope that you have opportunities to lean into those unclear territories of your life. It's like stepping onto a blank page. So let's see what you can make out of it. And as I get creative, I hope that you guys see the growth in what I do as a coach, as a public speaker, and all the other opportunities I have out there. And I'm excited to serve you in my creativity. So feel free to share with me things that you want to see from me. I'm definitely open to suggestions because why not? The pencil's in my hand and I'm sketching out this future. So that's today's episode. If you love what you hear and you want to continue hearing more topics similar to this, or if there are people that you want me to interview that you want to suggest to me, send me your ideas, send me your suggestions, make your referrals. And I would love, love, love to hear from you guys. If you want to reach out to me or check out what I'm doing, go to www.firstbasso.com and you'll see opportunities to be coached by me if you're looking for a coach, opportunities to be mentored as well. I'm open to doing any public speaking gigs out there. So, anyone looking for a keynote speaker, a host, let me know. Fill out the form on my website to contact me and my team. And I would love to serve you in that way. If you want to join my Patreon, Mis First Pasitos, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. If you want to join, you can always go to www.patreon.com/firstbasso. All that information is also on my website, as well as ways to purchase from my partners that I work with, and all sorts of ways to find out what I'm doing, including my socials. You can go to at First Bustle. You can check me out at Candace Olushala on my personal page. But regardless, whatever you think to do, the best way to really support is to not only listen, but to share, like, comment, subscribe to this podcast. It's the best thing you could do for me. And I appreciate those who listen and share and do those things and have subscribed. Thank you. And hearing from you guys gives me a drive that I've always longed to have. So thank you. Until next time, I will talk to you guys soon. Again, stay safe. The Rona is still out there and she still ain't playing with nobody. So wear a mask. Might even want a double mask for some of you. Some of you guys are getting your boosters, which is fantastic. Some of you guys are waiting for your boosters, also fantastic. Continue to wash your hands. Be cautious, be aware, think of others before you think of yourself. And remember that this is a global pandemic. This is a public health crisis. And so we got to look out for each other. Love you guys. Stay safe. We'll talk soon. Bye.